Hello, and welcome back to another live session. Hello, those that are coming in, it's nice to see you. So I thought that I would begin talking about my three sister garden. I don't know if you guys have done this, but I have this like evil idea of doing a three sister garden with runner beans. I've been Googling it today, and apparently it's a terrible idea with runner beans because they're very, very vivacious and really incredibly good at growing really well and like smother the corn. But I thought I'd give it a go because I have tons of runner beans. So I was thinking that would be a really good idea. I might go ahead and plant them out after this now on my corn plants. My corn plants are like quite high, about 5 foot high at the moment. No, 4 foot. I have to think about how tall I am and then how tall they are. They're about a foot shorter than me. It's about 4 foot tall. And I thought that'd be a really good idea because they're like pretty much cropping now. And it would be like when they're pretty much done to actually do it, and it'll be exciting to have that. If you get what I mean, I love runner beans. My family, oh, it scared me as a little bumblebee. Um, my family aren't really that into into beans very much. They like the French beans, but not the runner beans. So I thought it'd be quite excited way of using that space without having to like pull everything out and recrop it. You see what I mean? So I thought it was quite a good idea as I sit in there contemplating life today in the garden. It's been such lovely weather today. It's been nice and warm. Been down the allotment. I've harvested a bed. Well, I'd say most of a bed of potatoes, and then I've harvested some courgettes, some onions. What else have I done today? Oh, a huge beetroot. The beetroot was like this big. I was well impressed. I'm having quite a good beetroot year this year. I've also put in half a bed of more beetroot. I've got like this ambition to have pickles. Maybe I will be able to do them. I'm not sure. Um, it would be pretty cool if I could have enough big pickles to actually make pickled beetroot. That'd be really exciting. But we're getting to the point now where we're actually having whole meals that are made out of everything we've got down the allotment, which is super cool. I made a spaghetti bolognese today, and it had like carrots from the allotment, tomatoes from the allotment, onions from the allotment, peppers last year from but still from the allotment, mushrooms I bought, and tomato sauce that I made from tomatoes down the allotment. So it's getting quite exciting. It's getting quite wow. It's getting that time of year where you're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff coming in. We're getting enough tomatoes for fresh eating, which is really good, but not enough for like canning and things like that. So it's still coming in. And probably in a week or two, we're going to be like ridiculous amount of tomatoes, like so many so that I struggle to carry them, which is saying something. You can see where I've got caught the sun on my face. But it is really super exciting to have, stuff down the allotment and have that ability to have fresh fruit and vegetables, especially salad stuff. I really love having fresh salad to have down the allotment. And I have so many cucumbers that I've just picked today, and they're like huge as well, which I don't know if that's good or bad. It's the Telegraph that I've gone ahead and harvested today. Those seem to be the first, if not the best cucumber. Lots and lots and lots on the yellow cukes as well, what they called lemon cukes, but nothing really ready to harvest yet, which is it just is what it is. I remember they were really prolific last year. So, everything in good time, everything in good time, which is super exciting. So I'm just glad that everything's sort of coming in. You kind of have this like fear, don't you? This time of year, you're like, I've done all the work now, and you kind of got to sit back and go, where's my harvest? But I've done 2 beds of potatoes, and they seem to be quite good. I've got a good potato year. Huge potatoes, like this big, like, they're like jacket potato sized potatoes, which is not bad at all, not bad at all. So, it is quite exciting to have those, but it would also be nice to have something else, and I kinda have to go back through that bed. I've kind of only gone ahead and done some of it. I haven't harvested all of it, which is it is what it is. It is what it is. But I kind of ran out of time, and my partner was calling me going, Where's dinner? So I had to come home and cook it because it does take a while to make bolognese because you've got to cook it for like an hour or so to make sure that all the flavors are coming together and stuff. If not, it tastes a bit weird. So yeah, I had to rush home, which is fine. Which is fine. It's fine. Fine, fine, fine. But it was really exciting to be able to have like a load of stuff. I'm also getting berries. Berries. I've got like the start of berries and down the allotment today, I had a raspberry, right? And I was picking and eating raspberries. You know, as you do, you only have a few of them. Like, why take them home? Sitting eating them. Anyway, I dropped one, picked it up, and in the middle of it was just full of maggots. Well, they weren't maggots, they were fruit fly larvae, which aren't maggots, but like, like, you could just, ah, dear. So, yeah, well, I still ate them. So, yeah, that was a bit grim, I have to say, a little bit grim. But yeah, you live and you learn, don't you? I had the same with my Tayberries, but I'm still alive, so probably a bit of extra protein, not bad. But yeah, I'm hoping to have a load of the Tayberries and stuff and have those for a load of jam, which is going to be coming up really soon. I've just bought all of my pectin. Um, and I've got to the point now that I can use enough pectin to make it jammy, but not make it. There's like you like coat your tongue in your mouth once you use too much pectin, which makes it a little bit grim. But yeah, I've learned that mistake. So I'm really looking forward to having some jams. I'm probably going to make rhubarb wine as well this year because we've got tons of rhubarb, absolutely tons of the stuff. I could make a house out of rhubarb. I could sell rhubarb if I could make a little stall that only sells rhubarb. Impressive, I know. Rhubarb and potatoes probably. But I want to keep the potatoes all to myself. So I'm going to probably make it into wine. And the great thing about making cottage wines is they make fantastic gifts at Christmas time. And I know my mum, I did rhubarb flavored vodka last year. And my mum loved that. So it makes like a really unique gift. And you can put it in a beautiful bottle. I just gave it to my mum in a huge jam jar and she was like, awesome. So yeah, I'm probably going to make some rhubarb wine and go ahead and give that to my mum and other people in my life because they like alcohol. So I think that's quite a nice thing to do. And we do like to make things every year. We just find the process quite fascinating. So, hiya, how are you? The tiny garden, even. How are you? So, yeah, I just think the process of alcohol making is quite interesting, anyways. Me personally. So yeah, we're going to continue doing that this year. We were going to make strawberry wine, but probably not going to do that this year because I've pretty much eaten the strawberries until I feel physically sick. So and then carried on eating them. So we don't have that many. But I'm probably going to make strawberry jam, which is exciting. I really love strawberry jam, and we like strawberry and vanilla jam as well, which is really good. I like doing like random mixes that you don't really get in the shop, and then I make them into jelly. So like put the tomatoes, you put the strawberries into the sugar, and then you let the syrup come out. Make that into jam or jelly, and then I use all the rest for strawberry crumble, which is lovely. All good. Hope you're good. Yes, we're good. Homemade wine sounds amazing. It's really easy to make. Really easy. So, especially if you've got loads of crops that you've got left over. I remember, I don't know if you've ever seen it, the program. It's called The Good Life, where they make pea pod burgundy and they make another one as well where they make wine out of peas, the pods of peas, which I've always thought, like, what else do you do with those? Can you imagine broad bean pod wine? I bet that has a kick to it. But yeah, we're trying to use most of our harvest, if not all of it, this year. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that sort of plans out. I've got tons of broad beans as well, which I'm going to be trying to do in all sorts of different recipes, trying to make the most out of our harvest because, as it is, if you put all of that effort into it, you might as well get something out of it, mightn't you? And make something yummy. that you can't buy in the shops. It's the main thing, isn't it? And apparently people are just not being able to buy broad beans this time of year. My neighbour was telling me, I've just given him a bag of broad beans because he's gone to Asda and there weren't any. And I was just like, you can have some of ours, we grow tons of it. Always got a nice cup of tea on the go. But yeah, it is what it is, sort of thing. It's an absolutely beautiful day today. It's been so hot. I've actually just come in from the garden because it was so swelteringly hot in the house after cooking and that. And I was just absolutely sheeting sweat. So I was like, right, I'm gonna go out into the garden. I was just looking at the sweet corn and stuff and seeing what's what out there. Just trellised all my tomatoes today and yesterday. So yeah, it is I don't know why, it's one of my least favourite jobs, trellising tomatoes. I'm not even sure why. I think it's because you're, like, surrounded by tomatoes, and I'm quite claustrophobic, so there's that, and I absolutely hate untangling things, and all the tomatoes are, like, all tangled together, and I just blah. But I, like, put on a audio book. I called my friend at one point. I got it all done. I feel so proud of myself. I feel like I've done a lot of stuff today where really I've just done my tomatoes. Um, and I done the ones at home yesterday, finished off the ones at the allotment today. So that is like about 60 plants, which is quite a lot. And I even washed my hands and got all the tack off of it, which was probably more impressive than being able to trellis all of those tomato plants. But it's my own fault. I shouldn't have left them for so long. But did mean that I can really easily find the tomatoes now, which is awesome. We just had tomatoes again for dinner tonight, and we had some for dinner last night as well. So we're getting pretty decent amounts coming in now. I just can't wait until we get our mushrooms. I just that'd just be like mind blowing, next level for me. Can you imagine having mushrooms on top of everything else? Love mushrooms. And it's something that I haven't like I've grown mushrooms indoors, but nothing like, you know, masses amounts of mushrooms, which is like the dream, isn't it? I love mushroom powders. I think that'd be really nice, especially for like the winter months where you don't really have mushrooms coming in. I think it'd be awesome having that. I think it'd be really, really cool. And I love mushroom powders and grinding them up into like a really, really fine powder. And then we make them into like sauces and gravies and into spag bowl and stuff like that, which we eat like weekly throughout the whole of the winter months. I mean, we probably have spag bowl, lasagna, and etc. all the way through the winter. And chili. Oh, I love chili too. But round about this time of year, you don't want to be standing in front of a pot that's boiling into your face. Even though I did it today, I don't know why. Normally, we have things like steak and chicken wings and things like that, which are just boom and go, which is nice, less hot. So it is a lovely day today. But yeah, we've had a lot of rain here lately. God, talk about the weather. How interesting. No, we've had a lot of rain here lately, which is awesome because we really needed it. And we were talking with our neighbour, and they were like, isn't it weird? The grass is still green. Last year, we didn't have any green grass this time of year. And it is really interesting to see the differences between all the years. So even if you've been growing for years and years, it's interesting to see all the new challenges that you get, and the fact that even though, you've been gardening in the same place for 10 years, every year is so different. Goodness, do you remember 2020 when there was like it was like boiling hot, absolute tropical summer that started in like March? Do you remember? Oh my days, I remember that all the time, and I'm thinking to myself like that was like really different from the norm. So every year is something different. And I think this year it's been a bit of a tricky one. We had a really dry spell, and then now we've got lots and lots of rain, which is good. And then I don't know what the future has to bring. It's a little bit nerve wracking, but I have to say my flowers are really popping and my pumpkins are really popping. I go down to the allotment. I'm like a small child. Go down to the allotment. I count the pumpkins, and I make sure that we've got enough for our Halloween because we have a tradition of carving pumpkins, and it's like super important to our family. I'm so excited if we have enough pumpkins this year, because that means that we will totally have enough to do all of our carving needs. It's not even about eating them, because we don't eat carving pumpkins. You put them outside and by the time you remember to bring them back in, they're like on the floor. I do take them to chickens so they don't get wasted, or turkeys, whatever birds we're raising this year. And we've got a load of baby little chicks that will probably be going to their new home about then. So we might gift them a pumpkin when they go, because as soon as they're fully feathered, they don't actually belong to us. We raised them for one of our friends, who wanted to get chickens on their allotment. So it'll be super fun, like watching them grow up, and it'll be really sweet, especially as they get like to laying eggs and things like that. Because like once you've laid them from grown them from egg, it is rather exciting. I think I might do another batch. I might even do some ducks. I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about it. My ducks kind of are finished laying for pretty much the year, it feels. I haven't had an egg for them in ages, which is fine because we've got so many chickens. But I would like to add a few more chickens to our flock, to like get some more characters in there. I would really love an olive egger. The ones that lay them beautiful, like really dark olive eggs. I think that'd be awesome. Kind of like adds to my collection. But I definitely, if I went ahead and hatched more eggs, I would definitely go ahead and hatch some Easter eggers, because I just think their eggs are just so nice. And I mean, if you're growing your own eggs, why have the same as everybody else? I know in America, you guys have white eggs. I don't know if there's any Americans in. Hi, if you are from America. And which is really weird, because over here, the white eggs are like the dead posh eggs. They're like, wow, you get white eggs, you're really posh. Whereas in America, you apparently, anyway, I don't really know, but apparently they feel like the brown eggs are like more natural, like the ones we have. But they're obviously all the same. It's just interesting to see that like there is a difference between the two. Probably someone's gonna message in a minute going, "What are you on about? We don't care about the colours of the shell," which is true. Shouldn't really. But I just think they're so pretty. I like the light pink ones, the light blue ones, light green ones, etc. I've got some white as well, and some dark browns and speckled ones and things like that. And I think it's really nice. But I'd rather have the coloured eggs than have eggs every day as well, which I know is not how we're all meant to feel, but it is how I feel. So I just like having them, and they're quite nice little personalities. Maple's still shedding. She looked absolutely dreadful. I saw her today, and she's got all the pin feathers in her neck, and the pin feathers make them look like they've got some sort of disease. So I was looking at her today and going, Maple, you don't look great. And she was just like, you know, she's a chicken, so she's just doing chicken stuff. And she does this thing now where she chases me, which is a bit weird. I think it's a dominance thing, and I'm just like, chill, dude. I'm not competing with you. So yeah, she was just like trying to run me out today, being like, get away from my food. I was like, I'm filling it up. I'm helping you. So yeah, I moved the feeder as well so that it gives that bit where it's the front of the um run a little bit of a rest. I'm gonna go in there and have the honour, nay, the pleasure of going ahead and digging all of that out and putting it somewhere where it can compost for a year. I'm really looking forward to that, as you can imagine. But it's starting to get too thick, so I can't put any more wood chip in it. Not because I'm worried about it or anything, because to be honest, the worst thing that's going to happen is it's going to get so high and it's going to be awkward with the door. I hate that. So I'm going to go ahead and spade it all out, and then I'm going to go ahead and re-chip their run and move it all the way back to the other side of the allotment. At the back there's the orchard area, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on that, which will be fine, I think, because some of the trees haven't come through. I really want to do some apricot trees, and I've got this mission. Okay, how many fig trees have I had? Oh, my leg's going to sleep. How many fig trees have I had unsuccessfully? This year is going to be my year. I saw them in B&Q for like 50 quid, and I was like, oh my days, I could totally have a fig tree that works. And like you see when you get the seed catalogs and you're looking at them and you're like, oh my goodness, I could look at the varieties. I'm such a great gardener, and you order all your seeds. How I feel about trees at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and do fig, because can you imagine having your own figs? I love dried figs. That'd be amazing. Apricots, because we eat a lot of apricots. We've already got a peach tree, which is a tree. It's not producing at the moment, but probably will next year. I have like a sneaking suspicion that it'll get a massive harvest next year. I have like this dream, and this dream is like having enough peaches to like eat until I'm physically sick and then carry on eating them. And I love canned peaches in the winter. So that'd be so cool to can my own peaches. Oh, I'd have to have like 50 cans of peaches because I love them that much. Like huge jars. Like when you like watch old programs and they get out like canned peaches and they're like 2 gallons. Oh, that would be great. Or even 3 gallons. I could eat them. I could like just cut them in half and can them. Yum. Oh, and peach jam would be great too. I love peaches. I haven't had a peach for a while now, actually. I need to go buy some. Um, I've like been absolutely torn out with all of the strawberries we've been eating, like to the point where we're eating them like, what do you want with your strawberries for breakfast? What do you want with your strawberries for lunch? And what do you want them for dinner? My daughters love strawberries, so we're absolutely okay with that. Look at my fluffy hair today. It looks awful. It probably much looks awful every day. As it gets hotter, my hair gets curlier and curlier and curlier. So it's gonna be like by next week. But yeah, I'm super excited about that, and I think it'd be really nice to add some, you know, figs to go into that mix. I do have 2 bunches of grapes this year. I'm like, I'm shocked that I have 2 bunches of grapes growing on my grape twig. My grape twig is tiny. It's like 2 foot tall. I can't believe it has and it's like really thin. It's like thinner than my finger. It is very, very tiny, and it's got 2 bunches of grapes on it, and they're decently far apart, so I'm gonna leave both of them, and I'm going to eat all of them. Now I'll probably share them with the fam, but I will do my best to try to eat them all. Why not? We always, whenever we go shopping, this is really interesting. When we go shopping, we buy loads of grapes, and it's literally like the rush to the finish line to eat the grapes because we all love grapes. That's why we got the grape twig. But I think that I'm going to when they have all the sales and stuff, and they like bring down the prices, and it's like a bargain. I think I'm going to get myself another grape twig, probably a eating grape, obviously, but another eating grape to have like close up. And I was thinking, that wall between the two allotments, I could have grape twigs all the way along there, couldn't I? And just have like multiple uber, uber fruits right along there. And I was thinking, why not? Why not do that? And raisins. Oh my goodness, we eat so many raisins. Can you imagine making your own raisins? Oh, I'd have to get another dehumidifier though. I think at this moment in time, I run mine 24/7 all the way throughout, like from a couple of weeks from now, all the way until the end of the season. So I might have to buy another dehumidifier if I have more than one successful grape twig. So that will be exciting. But it's just, I feel like it's full of potential now. I kind of like go up and down with how I feel about the garden. Obviously, the painting's still not done. I have bought a roller now, though, so that's basically finished. It's in the first coat as well. I've got to repaint it after this, but hopefully over this summer period, I will be painting this up. We might as well leave it to the winter now. I was saying to my partner the other day, I was like, "Oh, it'd be really nice to get that painting done." He's like, "No, no, you're doing it." No, yeah, 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 I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Of course, I'm doing it. And then it's like, am I though? It's so busy this time of year, isn't it? So it'll be really exciting. In a couple of weeks' time, I'll be absolutely swamped off my feet, and I'll be like, "Why didn't I do the painting last week?" But yeah, at the moment, I just have no ambition to finish it off. But yeah, I'm really excited about the garden, though. I'm really excited about chucking the corn. I was looking at a corn chucker hmm, today, and I have this ambition to can the corn that I've grown. I have roughly about 36 corn cobs at the corn cobs or corn. Yeah, it's corn cob. cool plants anyway. And I'm really super excited about having them, and I'm going to chuck them, and then I'm going to put them into the pressure canner and pressure can them. And most importantly, I'm going to make maple syrup out of the corn cobs. Yeah, the bit that you don't eat in the middle side. Apparently that's doable, and I'm super excited about that. And could you imagine making it taste like maple syrup? I love maple syrup. That'd be like a game changer, wouldn't it? Because we probably do somewhere have maple trees, but I don't own a maple tree, but it'd be awesome if I did. Perhaps I could look into that. I wonder if you're allowed to tap maples in the UK. Hmm. The UK has laws around foraging. I know that, like, this is off the top of my head, obviously, if you're going to go do it, make sure that you are looking into it yourselves. But I'm pretty sure that you're allowed to take anything that's not a root. So you can't, like, go ahead and find a rare plant and take it bodily home with you. But you can take, like, cuttings, and you can take little foraging bits from it. But how cool would it be if you could, like, somehow find a maple tree and then go ahead and tap some maple? I'd love to make my own maple syrup. But until then, I have these corn cobs. So basically saying, I know you can make them into honey as well, but I think maple syrup would be like the way to go. For the win. We love pancakes on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning. My partner's off work. We love sitting down to like massive amount of pancakes, which I know is incredibly good for you. But yeah, it's something that we really enjoy as like a treat. The American pancakes as well. I like the crepes as well with cheese and ham. This is all very healthy stuff, isn't it? But yeah, I think that'd be really cool being able to have something that you've like made yourself. You know what I mean? Well, that's if they grow. My dog has like got an obsession with eating the corn plants. So I'm hoping that a few of them survive. I think he's managed to kill two, so I've got 34 now, which means I've got a couple of holes in the tomato in the corn jungle. So it might be an issue. I just wonder if it's worth putting the runner beans in. Been thinking that for a little while. I think it'd be all right. I think you can sow them all the way until the end of July, which is this month, obviously. We haven't got very long until the end of July either. I think we've got another week. Yes, one more week of July, and then we have August, which is very exciting, isn't it? Very, very exciting. Oh, August is the best time of year to have a garden or allotment, I have to say. I think was it last? It was October when I got my second allotment. I think it was about August time. And when I got my first allotment, goodness, that was exciting. And it felt like I was so behind back then because we already had the home garden and then we had the allotment garden as well. It was madness. Yeah, and I've just put in a load of beetroot today, which I'm very excited about. Can you imagine? We'll cook it all and then pickle it all, and that'll be so exciting. So yeah, it's quite a lot happening at the momento, which is pretty cool. I'm just feeling very hopeful today. It must be the sunshine. We've had a few days of like cloudy weather where it's been a little bit overcast and you had to stay indoors. And I thought, like yesterday, I got up, I went out into the garden. What did I do? I did my trellising of my tomatoes, and I weeded the whole entire bed. And then it started raining, and it rained and 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 rained. I was just like, oh, I'm stuck indoors now. Oh, and I got a black, sunflower. I know, right? The issue with "Hiya, how are you? You alright?" The issue with my black sunflower is it looks over my neighbour's garden. He always tells me, "Oh, you grow the nicest sunflowers," 'cause they always face him. I don't understand why they face the wrong way. They should be facing me. Should just turn like I am the sun. No, but like it would be nice if I could see a couple of petals maybe and not just the back of it. But yeah, it is black. I'm gonna try to climb and show you it one day. Might like aid and abet my life to try and take a photo with my neighbour's got a beautiful view of them. But I've got loads of different colours varieties this year and I thought it'd be a really interesting idea to have. hopefully. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the different colour sunflowers you can get. They're probably one of my favourite plants. That and dahlias. I really enjoy the dahlias. They make me so happy when I look at them. So yeah, I'm just so happy that pretty much all the dahlias have come out. Every year I'm going to grow more and more dahlias. I've got the lupins as well, which I'm super excited about. Haven't seen anything from the foxglove yet that I've sowed seeds from, but I'm sure it will come up later. I put like about between 10 and 12 trillion seeds down, so they're probably going to be like too many of them coming up. I'll be able to see you through this foxgloves. But yeah, they're indigenous to this country anyway, so hopefully they work super well and work well for the insects as well. It's always nice bringing in things that are going to help the pollinators. I think it's really important to bring those in, and like if you take care of them, they'll take care of you. I mean, I don't know if there's any difference between, like, for example, you got like squash plants, they have them beautiful squash flowers. I wonder if they're more sort of if like the squash flowers are more desirable to the bees, or if like the dahlias are more desirable for the bees, or they don't really care as long as they've got a lot of variety. So I did hear that a bee has to go to like 10 different plants before it goes home. It never mixes, which I didn't know. I thought it was quite interesting, you know. So it'll be interesting to see if it makes an impact. I know that they do love poppies, but poppies grow wild here all the time. So whenever I have a volunteer poppy, I just leave it in. And my neighbour has these beautiful poppies. They're huge. They're like this big. I love those. And I keep meaning to ask them where they got the seeds from, but I never remember to. Whenever I see them, I'm like, and I forget to ask them about their poppy seeds. But I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a Google and totally go ahead and throw those into my Amazon basket or wherever I find them basket, because they are really awesome and they're beautiful. They're like huge, this big, like a decent coffee cup size. Like when you go to Starbucks and you get the huge cup. That's what I'm talking about. Look at my hands. My hands are always messy because I'm always gardening. But yeah, it's been quite a good thing. I've gone through loads and loads of harvest now, and I've got my second load of potatoes, and I need to weigh them still. The last ones were what, 13 kilos, which is a little bit less than last year, but still not bad at all. I way prefer having 13 kilos of huge potatoes than have like 20 kilos of tiny little ones. And I think that's really good. And they taste amazing, which is the main thing, isn't it? I've turned a lot of them into chips. We've pretty much gone through the 13 kilos of potatoes are gone. They're all up at them all. So now we're bringing in that other box of potatoes. I reckon this bed has done so much better than the first bed. So I have only done half, but it feels like it's very heavy. I'll be surprised if it isn't 13, 15 kilos of potatoes, and I've only done half of it. Absolutely smashing this year. And to be honest, there are no small potatoes. They're all like this big in this new bed. And I've just done them in wood chip. I mean, I didn't even put a little bit of manure down, none. I didn't put any liquid fertilizer down, none. Granule fertilizer, nothing. Oh no, tell a lie. Tell a lie. I put a handful of granulated fertilizer, didn't I, in with each potato, and that's it. That's all I've done. And that wasn't there when I looked through. Yeah, none of it was, like, left remaining, and that's all I did. There was no, like, chemical fertilizer or anything like that in it, or anything that was I think it was, like, bloodfish and bone meal and then some, chicken manure, and that was the extent of it. I think it's pretty cool. Can you imagine if you could do that every year and just have these beautiful potatoes every year? Man, I'm gonna make sure that I take a note of those potato varieties, and I'm totally using them again. The ones with the little dots on them. I want to say Carver, but I grew Carver not this year, but last year, and they were absolutely rubbish. And I was just like, oh, great, I've got that tomato. It's like little monocle sized potatoes. But like this year, it's been absolutely smashed it. And I wonder if it is a big Tomato, yeah. Oh my goodness, whilst I was digging them up as well, I, was digging, like you're digging, you've got your headphones in, you're, digging. That's how I dig, by the way, just like that. And there was a red ant's nest, and, oh, they were all over me, and I hate red ants because they bite, don't they? And they make me super nervous. I was gonna get bitten. So I was, trying to get the potatoes out, and of course, where do the potatoes go? By the red ants. So, the red ants were crawling over my potatoes, and my potatoes were like, "I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream with these red ants." I was just like, ugh. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Of course, they'd be there. I think that's what they call sod's law, isn't it? But yeah, giving the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, I ended up risking life and limb to get these potatoes out, and there was, all ant eggs and stuff like that, and they'd probably have all bit me. I'm so lucky they didn't. I did have my gloves on, which is so rare for me to do, but when I dig through wood chip to get the potatoes out, I do tend to wear my gloves on the basis that there are big thorny trees in there, and those big thorny trees hurt when you touch them. So that's the only reason why I was wearing gloves today. Obviously, I took them off because you can see how muddy I am. And I do prefer when I was putting the beetroot into beds, I did take my gloves off. Why? Why you hear me say it's because I like the feeling of the soil between my fingers, and I like the feeling of like feeling the soil. I don't know if maybe it's because 'cause I'm a geologist, but I just think that's really nice. I like feeling, the moisture of the soil and the grade of the soil and whether it's too sandy or whatever. I really enjoy that, and honestly, that wood chip is broken down beautifully. Mwah. It's really done well. I'm so glad that I've been so on it this year. Compared to last year, I feel like last year I messed about with the potatoes and I left them and was like, I will leave them in the bed and they will be fine. And they weren't. And I really miffed off at myself. Really, so much. But you know what? You can't eat your mistakes, but you can learn from them. So every year I get slightly better. And to be honest, I've absolutely smashed the potato year. I was so worried about it because I got such rubbish plants on top of the ground, but under the ground. They obviously, whatever I've done this time is they haven't benefited from the I reckon I must have given them less nitrogen than I normally do because nitrogen produces leaves, right? So they've gone for a massive growth of leaves and what are they called? No tubers, but this time the tubers were massive. Oh, I'm gonna have to look back through that video and see what I done. But I know that I bought ran out of the chicken manure, but I've got so much of my own. It's not the end of the world, is it? I just hope it's gonna be okay. I hope that it's not gonna be a big issue having the chicken manure straight onto an area and then wait a while to plant it up. I might put all loads of strawberries over there once it's rotten down, obviously. But yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea. I just don't want to burn anything. But it'd be super exciting to have that all done and then have it all ready for next year. And hopefully, do you think it would burn the weeds? I'm hoping yes, because then I don't have to deal with the weeds. And to be honest, that whole area has a massive issue with bindweed and stinging nettles. I've got hiccups. So if you see me awkwardly hold my breath, it's because I've got hiccups. Of course, yes. Of course, I haven't had hiccups all day, but of course I get it now. So, yeah, I'll be really interested to do that. That's the thing I like about gardening is there's not really any right or wrong things to do. And whenever I say that, it makes me smile because I work with this person, and they're a really lovely person. And I've worked with a couple of people actually, all lovely, right? But they both in different occasions told me, "Oh, it's October." And they're like, I'm going to plant a pumpkin seed," and I was like, but it's not going to live. And they were like, how do you know that? Well, because I've grown pumpkins. I know they take a long season to grow. And they're like, yeah, but I'm just going to see how it goes. You never know. I might be the first person to grow a pumpkin over the winter. I'm like, yeah, you could be. I doubt it though, you know, because obviously pumpkins take forever to grow. But I just think that's the bit that we're kind of missing as gardeners. Like as a kid, you would totally be like, right, I want to know what this happens, and you're so worried about growing a pumpkin in the winter because, it might fail. But, it's like when you throw in some pak choy at the end of the season, you're like, "Oh, it's not gonna have time to grow into, like, giant pak choy, but I can have it as baby pak choy." Or you like, last year, I tried I've overwinter anything in my greenhouse. I try to overwinter as much as possible in there. I think this year I'm gonna go ahead and do beetroot, which I'm going to sow out of season and see what I get with them because I'd really like to have some beetroot for spring because beetroot is really yummy and it's really nutritious, especially like in the hungry gap where you have not very much sort of going for you that sort of time of year. I think beetroot would be really nice. I quite like beetroot. I just had some beetroot for dinner last night, along with my salads and stuff like that. And it just makes me so joyful. And also you can make it into like brownies and stuff. Which I really like doing. I really like having vegetables like hidden in things. So I think it's a great way of, you get all of the minerals and vitamins and stuff like that that you need from your food, but you also get it from cake. Bit of a bargain if you ask me. So that's what I'm thinking anyway. It might be a terrible idea, or it might be a great idea, but I do know that I need to put more compost in that greenhouse after I pull their melons out. The melons are doing amazingly, by the way. I didn't expect them to do as well. Can you imagine if I get melons this year? Car, I haven't had melons for what, 3 years now when I grew them in the heated bed down at the bottom of the garden. Do you remember that? I had underfloor heating for it, which was like powered by my hydroponics. I never know if they're hydroponics or the other one. The hydroponics with fish. It's the one without fish. And I thought that was really cool. And it was all like done like by the power of the sun and stuff, which was pretty cool. But I don't really do hydroponics anymore. Not for a little while anyway. And just because I've got so much room now to plant in the bed. But yeah, talking of which, my cucumbers are doing really, really well. No, I've just said that, but I'm very, very proud of them. They're like huge, like baseball bats, which is not really always a good thing. But it is something that's worked, quite well this time. And I'm really excited to have them. We didn't have salad for dinner tonight. Probably salad for dinner tomorrow night. So with pork medallions or something. So it'll be really exciting to be able to experience them again because I remember last year some of them got a little bit bitter. So these ones aren't yellow though, so hopefully they are going to be fine. Probably, yeah, I'm always planning my dinners like the night before. I'm always like, "Oh, what can I have? What can I have? What can I have?" Getting super excited by it. I do have like one little sad Swede in the fridge that's just sitting there like, "Oh, why don't you use me?" Which I probably need to go ahead and do. But yeah, I might just forego that and have the fresh cucumber instead. A little sad Swede can stay in the fridge for a little bit longer. Poor little Swede. This is where you go from having your winter veg to your summer veg, and I always prefer the summer veg. So my little sad Swede might end up being a little bit sad. I might just chop it up and put it in the freezer, and then I can have it whenever, can't I? Which is really good because I love Swede and carrot. I had carrots, I had swede, but I went ahead and made spag bowl with my carrot. So yeah. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? And all the way through the sort of season, I try to eat quite seasonally and have um food that is able to, suit the climate. And at the moment, it's too hot. And I just want to have a load of veggies and etc. So that's what I'm going to do. Not that we waste anything. We try not to waste anything as much as humanly possible. We've just got these bins come through, like they're the green bins. And it was so funny because everyone's like, "What am I going to do with these?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to use mine to take stuff to the allotment because I don't ever throw food waste in the bin, like ever. I always take it to the chickens or take it to the compost heap or etc. because it's so good to have free organic material to throw into your compost heap or whatever, so that you can reduce your overall overheads of an allotment. They can be really expensive. My plot mate in front of me, she buys she has no dig, right, which is awesome, but she buys all of her compost from, like, the allotment store, and I'm thinking, "Wow, that must be so expensive." She has, like, 30, 40 sacks of compost, and I'm just like, "Wow, dude, you don't have a compost heap, you should make your own compost because it makes it so much nicer." It really does. I also need to burn Mountain, don't I? Weed Mountain has got so much bigger that I think I could actually do an expedition to the top of it. I really need to burn it. Burn it down. But it's getting more and more because it's been super wet weather and you can't burn it in super wet weather. And whenever it's dry weather, they have cricket on. And you can't burn it when there's cricket on because obviously they're going to be like coughing and spluttering during the cricket, which is not really fair for them, bless them. But yeah, that is like the next sort of things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to finish harvesting my potatoes as well. I'm not in a massive rush to harvest the potatoes, especially now that I've seen that they're fine in there. I've kind of gone through and made sure that I'm hilling them up. They're like completely dead though, so um, if I have time, which I probably will now, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm doing that, but I'm not going to be like rushing at it. Whereas there's things like getting things into the ground. I've got some more herbs that I need to plant out into the world because I really want loads and loads of herbs this year. And I want to make sure that I've got things like pesto. I was just talking about making pesto earlier today. And also things like um pickles, dill pickles. Oh, I love dill pickles. So I'm going to go ahead and probably tomorrow morning I will be sowing a load more herbs and making sure that I have everything that I need to be successful for the year because there's no point of having a load of um tomatoes and stuff in if you don't have basil. There's no point of having a load of broad beans if you can't make it into pesto, etc. So I know I need to make sure that that's really good and make sure it's really like strong so that we can, do everything we need to make sure that we're having a super good year this year. And every year I'm getting a little bit better and a bit more dependent on myself instead of like rushing to the shops and buying things. And I cannot wait until our fruit trees come in because if we have an apple tree, a plum tree, a pear tree, a cherry tree, and then we've got the apricot tree if I buy one, and the peach tree and a fig tree. Can you imagine? I would never have to. What would you need other than that? We have so much fruit that I wouldn't know what to do with it. Lots of them are dwarf varieties, but the pear one isn't a dwarf variety. It's gonna be awesome. I also plan to trade for apples this year as well with my plot neighbour, probably cucumbers again, so that I can trade some of my cucumbers for some of their apples, which will be great because they don't eat their apples. I don't like cooking apples, and I love applesauce. I love cooking with applesauce and putting it into things and making baked porridge. Love baked porridge. I think it's such a good, like, healthy, on the go breakfast. You just like go ahead and grab it and then go out, which is awesome. I really like it with loads of like butter in it as well, but I've decided not to do that because it is delicious and moorish and wonderful and yummy in every way. But it's also something that I probably don't need in my life right now. You know, it's like looking at my videos, I can actually see me gain weight over time. But you know what? I'm happy. So that's the main thing, isn't it? And it's so funny because I'm probably more active now than I've ever been in my entire life, but I'm a massive foodie. So my life evolves around food. Um, so I feel like my entire like existence evolves around food, which is awesome. I love food so much. I'm one of them people that like pretty much everything in my actual day-to-day life. I'm talking about food continuously. But I do know that some people aren't like that. Some people don't even care what they have for dinner. Oh, so one of my friends was saying to me the other day that she was like, "Oh, I'm so lucky. My partner cooks for me every night." I was like, "Oh man, I don't think I'd like that because, it's lovely for her, but I'm like, "Oh, I wanna choose what I have for dinner," you know? And I think how blessed I am that I'm with a lovely man who has absolutely no ambition to go into the kitchen and start cooking, because I would absolutely hate that. All my gooseberry leaves have fallen off. Oh, no. Have you watered it? I assume you are watering it, or maybe you've overwarmed it. I have to say my gooseberries look a little bit worse than where this year, but I've just put them in. So I wonder if it is because I've just put them in that they kind of look like they've been pulled through a hedge backwards. They're very, very new to the environment and stuff, and mine absolutely look horrendous, but they've just been sort of they're just establishing now, so it could be that. I think I should have soaked them and got better root systems on them before I went ahead and put them in, but I did, and it's done now. So mine are looking the same. They look very yellow and very, very sorry for themselves. So goodness knows what I'm going to do with those bad boys. Honestly, I'd love to have gooseberries. One of my other things I'm really investing heavily in fruit at the moment. And I think it'd be awesome. I think the strawberries, I've got so many strawberries at the moment, which is lovely. I've actually got to go pick the strawberries. Probably a tomorrow problem. Probably, well, it's not really a problem, isn't it? The only problem is I'm like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah," when I'm when I'm gonna go ahead and harvest them all. I only got it a month ago. There you go. So it's probably establishing, it's probably losing the leaves to work on the roots. I think that's what they do. It's like I have that pet peach tree I was just telling you about. That thing had like two leaves on it last year because it was just working on the roots. And when they're working on the roots, they don't really grow upwards very much or produce any foliage. So it's probably working on its roots instead of working on its shoots. But if it does grow more leaves, just keep an eye out on it, keep it watered, try to reduce the stress on it as much as possible. That's what I would do. And see what happens. Because like I said, my ones look absolutely rubbish too. So I have four of mine, and honestly, all of them look a little bit bedrazzled. So it's probably just that. It's probably just working on being able to have a decent root system, which is way, way more important than having leaves at the moment, especially in the long term, because then it produces lots of fruit, which is the reason we have them, isn't it? But yeah, mine honestly looks the same. Mine is very, very much looks dead. So yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about having fruit though. Can you imagine? Right. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and listening to me. I'm gonna go now, and I will see you next week at the same time, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.